Today we're going to be making the definitive Brawl Stars tier list using the stats from the past July monthly finals. To help me out, I invited ReddySet, who's a caster for the Brawl Stars Championship. He also streams on Twitch and posts YouTube videos. Strongly recommend you go check him out. Really appreciate his help and knowledge in this video. Today we're only going to be ranking the top 27 brawlers because they were the ones with the highest use rate from the past monthly finals. All the lower brawlers were really not used that much, so they're not going to be very high on the tier list. So let's get into it. Got our tier list here, and the first brawler to place in the tier list is going to be Amber. She's been used 44 times in the 4 regions we were looking at, so not too bad of a use rate.
Yeah, I mean, she's been used a bunch and for a good reason, right? She can break open the bushes. She's super useful for that. You can deny, like, a large area, especially, like, for whatever reason. Double swoosh. We saw it played freaking so much. And no Kaboom Canyon, right? I feel like I got scammed this last month, yeah. I would put her up at S tier, right? Because we see, like, Amber bans as well.
And I mean, she did get nerfed kind of recently, but it hasn't seemed to have affected her that much. Like, she's still very, very strong in a lot of different matchups. So I kind of agree with the S tier. I'd say it definitely very much on the lower end of S tier, but I can agree. I can agree with an S tier placement. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Barley now.
Oh boy.
Barley's an interesting one because he can definitely get hard countered in certain situations, but he's still very, very good. Very much dependent on, you know, the mode you're playing and what you expect to face.
Yeah, I mean, like, Barley's good wherever he doesn't get countered, right? So if it's not, like, a map where you're going to see Surge or Jean, like, when Jean was not in the meta for, like, a hot minute there, we would still see Jean played specifically as a Barley counter on, like, some assembly required or maps like that. He does still get countered pretty well by Tick on other sorts of maps, like any gym grab maps.
Yeah, I think if we look at the other throwers too, you know, Tick and Sprout, they all kind of have very similar use rates, but I'd say Barley's, you know, probably on the lower end of them, just in terms of overall riskiness with how easily he can get countered. I feel like he's also kind of on the border of A and S. I would probably lean more towards A tier, but I can see either way. Okay, let's stick him in A tier for now. Oh, B is up next. Now, you know.
Well, I think there's a name for the tier I think she's in.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, she's pretty solid against tanks, right? She has her good matchups. A lot of advantage out of the range for sure. Definitely a very annoying matchup for a lot of brawlers.
Yeah, the thing is, like, B, she used to be, like, this crazy hard counter for tanks, and you'd think, like, oh, B's gonna be so good in this new meta because we got, like, the tank meta, and that being said, right, she's not really gonna be good unless pretty much all the walls are broken open. Yeah. Like, she's better for, you know, if maybe you're facing up against a control-based comp, like, we see her played every single game on triple dribble. Yeah. And, like, on the left lane, and, you know, I think that's a pretty good pick. That being said, though, you know, her green button is not what it used to be at all. Yeah, she's been hit with a lot of nerfs for that, for sure. She does her own tier. B tier.
B tier.
Yeah, I mean,
put her where she belongs. But on the other hand, we have Belle.
Oh boy.
Strong S tier in my opinion. You know, second most used, and you know she was banned 14 times, and even that considered, she still was the second most used. You know, she's just good in basically every mode. So many different maps she's good in. Just extremely versatile. Can really hold control well. There's not much bad about her kit, to be fair.
You know, if you look at the 1v1 between two snipers, like let's say Piper and Belle, like Piper is going to win that matchup. She's got homemade recipes. She's just the better long-range duelist. But the deal is that Belle fulfills so many more roles than just like a long-range duelist because you're not fighting a 1v1, right? It's a 3v3 game. And Belle is going to, like, as soon as she gets control, she's going to sit on the point or whatever kind of control you're going for and just plop down a billion bear traps. Yep. And that is going to prevent you from ever getting control back because if you dare try and disarm one, you're still going to die to someone who, like, just respawned. Yeah. I'd say S tier, I would probably put her above Amber. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Moving on to Brock. Yeah. I mean, he's been up and down a lot recently, but right now, I think he's in a pretty solid spot.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying this from NA perspective that, like, he's pretty good and maybe a little bit underrated by other regions, but it all comes down to, like, execution. And so you're just looking for, like, the crucial wall breaks just because of, like, the shape that the walls usually take on most maps. Like, if you look at Shooting Star, for instance, or if you look at Safe Zone, right? They're walls that you can break open that are going to get taken out by rocket fuel. I would definitely put him like either S or A tier.
I was thinking more A tier. I feel like he might not have that like 1v1 potential that some other brawlers have.
Yeah.
So I guess from like an overall standpoint, I'm leaning more towards A tier. But like, you know, on some maps, he's definitely like very much a top pick. I just think like overall, I would lean more towards A, I would say.
Probably so.
Oh, but now we got Byron. So this is a pretty interesting one because I feel like we used to see a lot of Byron for sure, and right now he's not really played that much. Only played 8 times, although he was banned twice. But you know, he's slowly getting nerfed, and I guess he's more of just an annoying pick, I guess, that teams don't really want to face against. I guess that's why they're still banning him.
I would kind of put him B tier. I mean, he's like decent he's okay as a substitute for Poco maybe if you really want to spam some healers. We can still see him on maps like parallel plays and things if you want to spam a Jackie up into, you know, the top right hot zone. But yeah, he's not even close to what he used to be. That super is still pretty decent.
Sure. So we can put him in the B tier.
2 B Brawlers.
Yeah, luckily Brock and Barley didn't fall to the same fate.
Wait, whoops.
Okay, now we got Carl. So I feel like he's just a good A tier brawler. Can definitely have some really strong 1v1 matchups. Modes like Siege for sure. Just not like the best when it comes to facing against really long range brawlers, which are really good right now.
Yeah. And Surge is also a popular pick, right? And so you want to get right on top of Surge, and Surge is like, you know, just does his little invincibility jump and upgrades and gets free super off of you. So I would honestly, it's like between A and B tier for me, because I feel like we hardly saw him, and you know, he's usually good in like Siege for just grabbing that first bolt, and then you can play kind of aggressive at mid, and that's how you hold mid.
I never walked away from a monthly final thinking like, wow, that Carl was really did some work there. It's always just been like, he was there, you know, he did his job. I'd say low A tier, high B tier. We can put him low A tier.
Stick him at A.
Stick him there for now.
Colonel Ruffs.
Yeah. Personally, you know, the times I have seen him in the monthly finals, he's definitely been very strong in certain situations, I feel like.
Yeah.
Just the ability to have the entire team powered up. The few times you run the field promotion, star power, of course, can just carry in the end of the game when everyone's tanked up on their health. They've got their boosts.
Let's say you're playing Kaboom Canyon, right, and you're going to end up with a Piper 1v1, then Colonel Ruffs is actually pretty decent for throwing down the sandbags, because each one of those is going to absorb a Piper shot, and, you know, her really slow reload speed is going to make each of those absorbed shots really, really impactful. And then also you have, you know, the power that you can hand over to your Piper and they get a homemade recipe, and, you know, it's like almost a one shot, but it's definitely going to push him back. Like, I would personally put him in S tier.
It definitely has some really strong competitive use cases. Yeah, it's A to S tier seems fine to me.
I would put him below Amber.
Okay, that's fine. I can agree with that. Moving on to Colt now. I think, you know, sometimes serves a similar purpose to Brock in maps like Safe Zone just for the wall break. It's just not as good of a wall break. He can be good in Siege. I know I saw the Belle Colt strat a lot to defend the bot, which seemed to work really, really well. That definitely is a way you can play him, but apart from that, he doesn't really see all that much play.
I mean, the deal with Colt that I think makes Brock like better is that Colt is so hard to get like consistent damage, because you have to walk with your enemy. He's a very high skill cap brawler, and, you know, even at the competitive level where you're looking at literally the top players in the world, he's still extraordinarily difficult to play. The wall break is useful. Like, we saw it a lot on GG Mortuary, and if we see more GG Mortuary in the future, which I don't anticipate, but if we did, then he'd probably still be used there. But besides that, I think Brock's better for the wall break.
I'd honestly want to put him at the bottom of B tier.
Same.
Especially for people who like aren't pros. He just doesn't have many use cases apart from a very particular set of maps. Crow.
Okay, it's Crow time.
He's never broken. I think he's very much sort of in the middle, a very good pick, you know, very good in 3v3 in terms of helping out the team with the gadget.
Yeah. He's a brawler that I've always had mixed feelings about, because I feel like his kit makes no sense at all. Like, he's an assassin that very slowly and steadily poisons his targets over time, and his super does not do anything for like getting more damage. something that I've seen with Crow is he's very, very good on maps that like have like long-ish lanes. He's also good on like minecart for retrieving gems that, you know, sniper picked up the kill, and they're not going to be retrievable, so super is good for just the mobility.
Yeah, imagine using the super to like actually be an assassin.
Kill someone. I've seen it a little bit, and I was like, oh man, this is a risky situation. But I mean, if they're low on health, then yeah, it's like pretty much a gimme.
I feel like he's a strong A tier.
Yeah, I think that's an appropriate spot.
Like between right Brock and Barley. That seems about right.
Yeah.
Okay. El Primo. Oh, that's
yeah. I say that's fair.
I think that's a fair assessment.
I would honestly put him below Belle though. My mindset is like, you know, he's banned like pretty much every single time, but it's not just because he's super good. Because both teams, you know, if he's not banned, then both teams have him available to play, and it just becomes a battle of like who's the better Primo.
Yeah.
It's like the reason that you also see like Poco banned out, even though he's not like this crazy powerful character. Because it narrows down the possibilities of what your enemy can choose, and it limits the possibility of like seeing a counter comp. I don't think he's like the best brawler in the game, so to speak. I still think the best brawler in the game is Belle.
Okay, I might have to debate that later on, but
go for it.
For now, Belle.
I'm ready.
Well, I'm okay with putting Primo second. I can agree with that. It was a good argument. Okay, now we got Ems, and Ems is kind of weird. I feel like some people kind of underrate her. Personally, I feel like she's very good. Sometimes she just like can't 1v1 well, but sometimes she just like carries so hard. I play her a lot in Brawl Ball, so I mean this is from personal experience. But like when you can get them spawn trapped, they're spawn trapped like until you score. Like if you play right, they're just permanently spawn trapped, and it's just so strong with the hype star power right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, competitively, you know, there are some maps she just gets outranged. She can't 1v1 well. I'd say she's like borderline S tier, A tier for me.
Yeah, I would say she's A tier. And Ems, I just feel like she's versatile. She's a great defender. But the thing that she's very weak against is Mortis, or really anyone that can get really close in range. And Mortis, you see pretty much exclusively played as a counter pick. But when he, like, if he gets the brawler that he's trying to counter, then he's, like, kind of unstoppable.
We'll put her at top of A tier then, I guess.
Nice,
sort of compromise. Okay. Moving on to Frank. Definitely not anywhere near as good as Primo. Can't cycle supers instantly, but does have a very strong super, for sure. Can really swing matchups if you can hit it off. Don't think you saw that much play in the monthly finals. He was banned twice, to be fair, but definitely very much on the lower end of use rate. I think he's good just on certain maps, really. You know, Split, I feel like you see him a couple times.
Yeah, the Gale Gale Frank in Siege. Something that we saw, like, I guess a couple of times, is the complete one push just because there was a Frank super available. Like, he's pretty powerful, but he's also really gimmicky because if he gets countered, then you're just literally a super battery for the enemy team.
Yep.
I would put him, like, near Carl, probably.
Okay. I can definitely agree with that. Yeah, I'd say probably above Carl. Then we've got Jean, who is...
Let's go.
You know, most used, 85 uses in just 4 different regions, on top of being banned 12 times. You know, he's just so good with the amount of utility he can provide with that super, with the healing from the star power.
He's still just like a very strong gem carrier, and without really other options for a strong gem carrier that's going to be hanging out on the backline, is also able to kind of act as like the center of a team. I think that's why he's like so central to the meta. That's not even saying anything about how strong the pull is or healing up his teammates.
I definitely want to go S tier. The question is where.
He's like instrumental. He's not played necessarily because he's like crazy strong. He's just played because he's necessary.
Yeah, if opponents have a Jean and you don't have a Jean, it's always just a very annoying match, for sure. Okay, moving on to Jessie now, who barely made the cut. Only used 5 times. If you can, you know, take care of the turret and stuff, she's not really much of a threat. So I would say definitely B tier for me.
I would say like between B and Colt. What do you think?
B and Colt, yeah, I can agree with that. I think Jessie probably has a couple more use cases than Colt does.
People just throw down the turret and then immediately use it for the slow, and then the turret dies instantly.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. Like, the turret's so good for area control, but people only use it for the slow.
But maybe we'll see more of her in the future. It's just not really a good time for Jessie right now.
Past.
Yeah.
Jesse's revenge is over.
So moving on to Lou, who's kind of interesting brawler. He very strong on certain maps, very not strong on others. A lot of times you see him on hot zone, on the one zone maps. When you got people stuns, it's just you have control for the whole time.
So my narrative pretty much with Lou is you're gonna see him if Belle is banned.
Yeah.
And that's just because he and Belle are both great defenders, but Belle outranges him, so you're never gonna see him played where there could also be a Belle. If you're playing Siege, then if Belle's banned out, then Lou's a great option. But Belle's better than Lou at getting the defense because she can just defend it solo, and Lou will slow it down a lot, but he's not going to be able to kill the bot as quickly.
He definitely is strong when he's got the right situation, when he's not against a Belle. So, but I would still say B tier.
Yeah, I would say above Byron personally.
Above Byron? Okay, I can definitely get behind that.
I love how evenly distributed this is.
Yeah, looks nice. Yeah, Max. Also barely made the cut. You know, she was banned a lot, to be fair.
She was previously in the meta fulfilling the role in a team composition to just get the super and gain some territory by helping your team push up. And now, the times that we see her used, she has to really, really work for that super. And she, actually has kind of changed roles from being more of a support to being a brawler that plays aggro and actually tries to play lane and then switches to support once she gets her super. That just doesn't work because she has such low damage.
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't even seen her that much, so I haven't even experienced how bad she is right now, but I mean the bans for me, I don't quite understand why there's so many bans of her. I honestly kind of feel like she's below B.
Yeah. I would say actually that's a pretty good place to put her.
Okay. Mortis. What a fun brawler. This is kind of hard to place him. I feel like it's very much situation dependent, right? It could be S tier if you got the right matchup, or you could just be completely horrible. Averaging it out, I'd say maybe A tier, but probably B.
I would dare say A tier. To me, it's because he's really strong as a counter pick to any brawler that's particularly good at playing for control, and his mobility as well is excellent for just creating kind of this radius of pressure around himself.
And at this point, in the worst case scenarios, right, it's not always that bad. I feel like you can always do something, at least in Siege. If you lose all your matchups, at least you can just get bolts and not interact with the other brawlers that you lose to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can agree with A tier here. I'd say on the lower side, just because of how variant he is.
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
Moving on to Piper. You know, she's got the long range. You know, she theoretically beats Belle most of the time. It's just that against other brawlers, she's not as good as Belle. As we talked about before, she just doesn't, she doesn't have the gadgets to lay down. Her super, you can use it to break open some walls here and there, but it doesn't really get you that much value.
It's hard to place her. I would definitely put her above Brock, maybe between Brock and Ems. She's also good, if you see both Belle and Jean banned out and you're playing Hard Rock Mine, then you'll probably see her there, combine her with the Crow, and she'll do even better. Even when Crow wasn't, was barely creeping into the meta, he was still good combined with Piper on Minecraft, just because you're able to line up the shots more easily once you have the slow.
Next we have Poco, who, I mean, we didn't really see much of, but that's because he was banned 12 times. Obviously he's great with, tanks, which are very solid. Even as a standalone brawler, I think he's pretty solid.
When you see Poco do Poco things, he is going to be on the team that wins within a minute.
Yeah.
Because you're going to see Poco double tanks, and that's really the only situation that you'll ever see him in. And the comp that you would play to counter it is not strong at all against most other team compositions that you'd see there. So it's all about kind of reducing the possibilities for the enemy. That's why we see Poco banned out so much.
So yeah, Poco's definitely very good playing competitive if you can actually find him not banned. And I mean, yeah, of course he relies on tanks a lot, which are good right now, which is why he's very good as well. Would you go S tier for him?
I mean, if Ims is at the top of A tier, I would definitely put him right next to Colonel Ruffs in S tier.
Yeah, I can get behind that. And
Rico time.
Rico. Well, that's a pretty good gadget. The new one that he just got, which is seen. I don't think I've even seen the other one played like at all since it came out for good reason, because he's not a close range brawler, so a close range gadget doesn't really help him all that much. The ability to heal up pretty much back to full, it's definitely really strong. And, Rico himself, just very strong at laning, outranges a good portion of brawlers, and just obviously, the Ricochet, what he's named after. It's really annoying to face against. So I think he's very strong right now. Definitely map dependent a little bit.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of maps out there that he's good on.
Yeah. For me, it's like Hard Rock Mine is the first one that pops into my head. He controls like the right lane, and that's super important for your enemy, because that's their ticket to get a tank up into the bushes on your side of the map and then flank you and like get you into an optimal position.
In terms of where to place him, maybe higher A tier.
I would put him between Piper and Ems probably. Okay, Sandy moment.
Sandy, another brawler that greatly benefits from the new gadget.
And we got to see it in the monthly finals too.
It doesn't seem like much, just 1.5 seconds of the sleep, but it does the trick in a lot of situations. And Sandy, even without that, just has a pretty solid kit, great burst damage, and massive control from the super. So it's just very good on so many maps.
The sleep is really good though when you're working with teammates. It's not necessarily good like when you're just like on a lane solo, because Sandy's main benefit is his good burst damage, and you're gonna wake up the enemy if you burst them. You are able to stun them, which is very useful. But more often than not, we see Sandy play in the situation where he's working with a teammate to grab a kill with the stun.
He was played a lot in the past monthly finals, and even without being good on all the maps, being played that much, I think, speaks a lot.
I would definitely put him in S tier, probably even above Colonel Ruffs. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
what do you think?
yeah. I'll just go here for now. 5 more, almost done. Look who we got here. Your favorite brawler.
First, it was Leon. And then I was disturbed by the lack of Leon merchandise, so I switched to a brawler where it's like pretty easy to make your own merchandise.
All it takes is piece of tape.
Some scissors.
But in terms of the meta, very good. Just very annoying. Honestly, I think he's pretty good on almost every mode.
Yeah, Sprout's also like a good counter to sharpshooters. Just like the ability to throw up those 5 tiles of hedge. It's kind of like paradoxically good, right? It's like so little, but it's so effective. And also being able to defend the bot solo on nuts and bolts is super powerful. But I wouldn't place it in S tier. I would definitely say kind of in the middle of A tier somewhere.
I feel like Sprout's a bit better than Brock.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good place to put him.
Okay. Stu. Okay, this is a brawler that I think could compete for the top spot personally, because I think the new gadget really changes things, because he was already really broken. Like all of these stats here for the use rate, these are before he got the new gadget, and he was already top 3 use rate and one of the most banned brawlers. Very, very powerful, insane mobility, insane 1v1 matchups as long as you get that first super to get in range. And now you can just charge it instantly with a single gadget.
It's kind of scary. He definitely benefits from the wall break. Something that is for certain is he is good on pretty much every map.
I would argue that it could be top spot. That's only because I've been playing him a lot with the new gadget recently, but I definitely say top 1 or top 2.
I want to put him like right next to Belle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Surge. Talked about him a lot. Not, something you see everywhere, but can definitely counter a lot of very good brawlers in the meta.
Yeah,
so.
he counters and he gets countered. His gadget is pretty much a free kill on a thrower. Yeah, it's a tough one to place, but we see him played so much that I would definitely place him like upper A tier.
I kind of agree with that. I was thinking more like mid A tier-ish. I feel like Surge is just not usable enough on like everything to be above those other brawlers.
I almost want to put him above Sprout, but what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think it could go either way. I'm fine with putting him above Sprout.
It's a really tough call.
Yeah. Okay. Terra. She relies on her super, right? Which can really swing matchups. But at the same time, I never feel like I noticed Terra like hard carrying matches.
She's like not really a carry at all. She's just there for the pull and the gadget.
Yeah.
The gadget is good at countering things. For instance, Tara, if you see like a surge on the enemy team, Tara's so good at getting rid of that. Stu is definitely the biggest one for me.
Yeah. I mean, she was banned twice, which I'd like to think it's probably basically the same reason as Jean, like you said. I mean, it's just a pull, but not quite as good as Jean. So I feel like the Tara ban is almost just there, same reason as Jean, just to a lesser extent, which definitely makes sense. I'd say she's a lowish A tier.
Between Crow and Mort, I feel like is an appropriate place.
That sounds about right. And with that, we move on to the final brawler, Tick. What a great brawler to end on.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Make a new tier for Tick, yeah.
Honestly. I mean, it's like Sprout, but even more annoying if that can even be possible.
He's good on like very specific situations. He struggles in any kind of situation, where he might be the last brawler alive. In every single bounty map that's in rotation, he's a go-to. But his gadget got nerfed pretty hard as well. And we are kind of considering in the overall situation. So he's good on bounty, but not too great on anything else.
I was kind of placing him near Sprout. I mean, in terms of use rate, he has a couple more uses, but generally the same as Sprout and the same as Barley. So I feel like he should go, maybe right in between them.
I'll put him like between Barley and Frank. I want to like reconsider where Barley is positioned because
I had my eye on him. I was like, I feel like he's a bit low in the A tier right now. I feel like we should move him up.
Yeah, he's pretty low. I want to put him between like Sprout and Surge probably.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
Maybe Carl could get bumped down. That's
bumped down.
That's just me. That's just me splitting hairs.
I could see M's going down a couple spots.
Same. This looks very professional. I like it.
With that, the tier list is done.